John Carter was alone on the starship, drifting through the vast emptiness of space. He had been awake for months, maintaining the ship as it moved toward a distant research outpost. Life on the ship was quiet and predictable. Every day he checked the systems, ran diagnostics, and made sure everything worked properly. The endless silence was his constant companion, broken only by the soft hum of the engines and his own voice when he spoke to himself. John often wondered if loneliness could make someone lose their mind. Sometimes he imagined hearing noises or seeing shadows that weren't really there. He dismissed these as tricks of his tired mind. Still, he tried to keep himself busy to avoid these troubling thoughts. One evening, after completing his daily tasks, John prepared dinner and ate alone in the small dining area. Afterward, feeling exhausted, he headed to his cabin to rest. He fell asleep quickly, hoping to escape his isolation, if only in dreams. Later that night, John woke up suddenly. He sensed something was different, though he couldn't immediately understand why. He looked around his cabin, and at first saw nothing unusual. The soft lights from the control panel blinked gently, casting a pale glow around the room. He was about to lie back down when his eyes caught a movement near the corner. Startled, John sat up quickly, his heart pounding. Standing quietly by his bed was a figure he had never seen before. The figure was clearly not human, but it wasn't frightening. It stood still, calmly watching him. In the soft light, John could see that it was a young woman with pale blue skin that shimmered faintly, as if glowing from within. She had long silver hair, cascading down her shoulders, and large eyes that sparkled gently in the dimness. John opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He couldn't understand how someone else was on the ship. He was supposed to be completely alone. The woman continued watching him, her expression curious but calm. Finally, John found his voice. "Who are you? How did you get on board?" he asked, softly, trying to sound calm but failing. The young woman tilted her head slightly, appearing thoughtful before speaking. Her voice was soft and melodic, like gentle music. "My name is Lyra. I am a princess from the Illyrian Star Kingdom. I came aboard your ship to escape danger." John blinked in confusion, unable to grasp what she had just said. "Princess Lyra? Illyrian Star Kingdom? How? When?" "The ship has been sealed. There's no way you could have boarded without me knowing," he argued, his voice trembling slightly. Lyra took a cautious step closer. "I boarded secretly while your ship passed near an asteroid field. My escape pod was hidden, and your sensors did not detect it. I have been hiding in the cargo area for several days, watching you, learning your language and your routines." John stared at her, trying to process everything she was saying. He felt disbelief mixed with curiosity. "Why did you reveal yourself?" "Now?" Lyra sighed softly, her gaze dropping briefly to the floor. "Because we are in danger. Those who pursued me are coming. They have traced my escape and will arrive soon. I can no longer hide. I need your help." John felt a sudden chill. The idea of danger approaching his peaceful ship was alarming. Yet, looking at Lyra, he felt something else. She seemed genuine, and there was no sign of deceit in her eyes. He decided to trust his instincts. "All right," John said slowly. "Tell me everything. What danger are we facing, and how can I help you?" Lyra smiled gently, relief visible on her delicate features. "Thank you, John. My kingdom was attacked by rebels who seek to overthrow my family. They pursued me because capturing or harming me would weaken my people. Your ship was my only hope of escape. But they have powerful tracking technology, and they will find us quickly." John nodded, standing slowly from his bed. "Then we don't have much time. I'll need to prepare the ship and see what defenses we have available. Follow me," he instructed. Together, they walked through the quiet corridors of the ship. John explained to Lyra the ship's layout and systems, quickly forming a plan in his mind. He showed her how to use basic human technology, which she picked up quickly. Her intelligence and calmness impressed him, easing some of his fears. As they worked side by side, John couldn't help noticing Lyra's elegance and grace. Despite the urgent danger, she remained calm and focused. He felt a growing sense of admiration for her courage. This unexpected meeting had changed everything, and he was determined to protect her and the ship. Soon, John had activated the ship's defensive systems and set up monitoring devices to detect any approaching vessels. Lyra assisted him quietly, following his instructions carefully. They worked efficiently, knowing time was running short. Finally, with preparations complete, John paused, turning to face Lyra. He saw concern in her eyes, though she tried to hide it. "We're as ready as we can be," John said softly. "We'll face whatever comes together." Lyra looked at him gratefully, her gentle smile returning. "Thank you, John. I am grateful that you are here." John felt warmth spread through him, replacing the chill of fear. He knew the coming battle would test them both, but for the first time in months, he was no longer alone. The arrival of Princess Lyra had brought danger, but also companionship and purpose. Together, they waited, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, side by side. John and Lyra stood quietly in the control room of the ship, both carefully watching the display screens. The sensors showed nothing unusual yet, but they knew danger was near. The silence between them felt heavy with worry. John glanced at Lyra, noticing how she remained calm and steady despite their situation. "How powerful are these rebels?" John asked, hoping to learn more about their enemy. Lyra's expression darkened slightly. "They have grown stronger over time, gathering support from other planets and groups unhappy with my family's rule. They have advanced weapons and ships. They will not hesitate to destroy your ship if it means capturing me." John nodded slowly, absorbing her words. He realized the seriousness of their situation. "Do you think we have any chance against them?" He asked quietly. Lyra turned to face him, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes, John, I believe we do. Your ship is small and agile, and they will underestimate us. If we can surprise them, we have a chance." Her words gave John a spark of hope. He quickly began thinking of strategies, planning their best approach. Together, they discussed how to outsmart their attackers. John decided to use the asteroid field nearby to their advantage, hiding the ship among the drifting rocks. "If we hide there, their sensors will have trouble tracking us," John explained. "Then, when they're confused, we can use our weapons to surprise them and hopefully scare them away." Lyra smiled slightly, impressed by his quick thinking. "That is a good plan. We must be careful, though. One wrong move, and we could collide with an asteroid." John agreed, knowing the risks. He carefully guided the ship into the asteroid field, slowly maneuvering around floating rocks of all sizes. Lyra stood close, her eyes fixed on the screens, alert and ready to help if needed. They waited in tense silence, each minute feeling longer than the last. Suddenly, the sensors beeped, signaling the arrival of enemy ships. Lyra and John looked at each other briefly, understanding passing silently between them. Their plan was now in action. John watched as 3 large rebel ships appeared on the screen, scanning the area carefully. They moved cautiously, clearly confused by the asteroid field. The rebel ships split up, searching individually. "This is our chance," John whispered, preparing the weapon system. Lyra stood ready, helping him target the nearest enemy ship. "Fire," Lyra said firmly, and John activated the weapons. A powerful blast struck the closest enemy vessel, catching it completely by surprise. The rebel ship shook violently, damaged by the unexpected attack. The other 2 ships quickly moved to assist, but John swiftly guided the ship to a new position. "They're coming after us," Lyra warned, watching as enemy weapons fired wildly, missing their target. "Good! That's exactly what we want," John replied, skillfully dodging the attacks while firing carefully aimed shots back at their pursuers. The asteroid field provided excellent cover, making it difficult for the rebels to target them accurately. However, John knew they couldn't avoid the enemy forever. Lyra quickly adjusted their tactics, helping John identify weak spots in the enemy ship's defenses. They worked seamlessly as a team, coordinating their actions and communicating clearly. The second enemy ship took a direct hit and began drifting away, heavily damaged. Only one rebel ship remained, but it was the largest and strongest of them all. "We need another surprise," John said urgently, checking the weapon status. Lyra quickly thought of a risky but potentially effective idea. "What if we use an asteroid, push one toward them?" "They won't expect it." John hesitated briefly, considering the risk. Finally, he nodded. "All right, let's do it." Carefully, John and Lyra maneuvered their ship behind a large asteroid. John gently nudged the asteroid toward the rebel ship, timing their movements precisely. The enemy realized too late what was happening. Unable to move away in time, the asteroid collided powerfully with the rebel ship, causing massive damage. The enemy vessel retreated quickly, leaving the asteroid field. John and Lyra watched in relief as their screens showed the rebels moving farther away. No longer a threat, exhausted but relieved, John turned to Lyra, smiling gratefully. "We did it! You were incredible!" Lyra smiled warmly, her eyes glowing softly. "It was your cleverness that saved us, John. You are a brave and skilled pilot." John felt his face warm with embarrassment at her praise. "Thank you. But we worked together. I couldn't have done it without you." Lyra's smile widened, and she gently touched his arm. "Together, we are stronger than either of us alone." The simple truth of her words warmed John's heart. He realized how quickly his life had changed since Lyra appeared. The loneliness he had felt for months was now replaced by companionship and purpose. They guided the ship out of the asteroid field, making sure no further dangers awaited them. Finally, confident they were safe for the moment, John and Lyra moved to the small dining area. As they ate quietly, they talked about their recent victory and discussed their next steps. Lyra explained they needed to reach a safe planet where her loyal supporters waited. From there, they could regroup and plan how to stop the rebels permanently. John listened carefully, feeling deeply involved in her mission. He knew he couldn't abandon her now. Her cause had become his as well. Together, they made plans for their journey, determined to face any challenges that came their way. Later, as they prepared to rest, John and Lyra stood quietly in the corridor outside their cabins. Lyra gently took John's hand, looking up at him gratefully. "Thank you again, John," she said softly. "I am lucky to have found you." John squeezed her hand gently, smiling warmly. "The luck is mine, Lyra. You've given my life meaning again." As they parted ways to rest, John knew his journey had become something he never expected. He was no longer alone, and the adventure he had longed for had finally found him. The future was uncertain, but he faced it with newfound hope and strength, knowing Lyra would be by his side. John woke early the next morning, feeling more energized than he had in months. The excitement of recent events, combined with having Lyra's company, gave him new strength. After getting dressed quickly, he went to the control room, where he found Lyra already awake and studying the star charts. "Good morning," John said softly, moving closer. "Did you sleep well?" Lyra turned to him, smiling warmly. "Yes, thank you. It feels safer now." "Your presence gives me comfort." John smiled back, feeling warmth spread through him. "I feel the same. Now, where do we go next?" Lyra pointed to a distant planet on the display. "Here, this planet Arcturus is where some loyal followers are hiding. They can help us plan our next move against the rebels." John studied the planet carefully, nodding in agreement. "It's far, but we should reach it safely if we avoid known rebel paths." "Exactly," Lyra agreed, adjusting their course carefully. As they set off toward Arcturus, John found himself enjoying Lyra's company more each day. She asked many questions about humanity, eager to learn everything she could. John happily shared stories about Earth, his family, and the daily routines of his former life. Lyra listened closely, fascinated by every detail Dot in return. Lyra taught John about her people, the Illyrians. She described beautiful cities with crystal towers, lush gardens, and peaceful lakes. She explained how her family had ruled kindly for generations, but some groups grew unhappy, leading to the current conflict. It must have been difficult to leave everything behind, John said sympathetically. Lyra nodded, sadness briefly clouding her eyes. It was, but I had no choice. Leaving my family was the hardest. I missed them deeply. John reached out, gently squeezing her hand in comfort. You will see them again. We will make sure of it. Lyra smiled gratefully, her eyes brightening again. Thank you, John. Your kindness gives me hope. As days passed, they settled into a comfortable routine. They worked together, sharing chores and responsibilities. During quiet moments, they often sat together, talking and laughing. John found himself looking forward to these moments, cherishing Lyra's company more each day. One evening, while they were eating dinner, Lyra suddenly looked thoughtful. John, tell me more about love among humans. What is it like? John felt his face turn warm. The question caught him by surprise. Well, love is complex, he began slowly. It's caring deeply for another person, wanting to protect and support them. Love is powerful and can bring both happiness and pain. Lyra listened intently, her eyes curious and gentle. And have you experienced this love yourself? John hesitated briefly, feeling shy. I have, though it didn't end well. That's partly why I chose this mission, to be alone and recover. But meeting you has changed everything. Lyra's expression softened further. You mean you no longer want solitude? Exactly, John replied quietly. Being with you has reminded me how important companionship is. Lyra reached across the table, softly touching John's hand again. I understand. I feel the same. You have become very important to me. John felt warmth fill his chest. They shared a quiet moment, each understanding the deeper connection growing between them. Eventually, they finished dinner and returned to their tasks. But the comfort of their conversation lingered. Several days later. As they approached Arcturus, the sensors alerted them to another ship nearby. John quickly examined the display. Growing concern, another ship is close. It's smaller, but moving toward us quickly, he said urgently. Lyra checked the data, her face tightening with worry. It looks like a scout ship, possibly rebel. We should prepare for contact. John nodded, activating defensive systems while Lyra hailed the approaching vessel. After a tense pause, a voice responded, demanding identification. This is Princess Lyra of the Illyrian Kingdom, she replied firmly. Who are you and what is your intent? There was silence for a moment. Then the voice returned, calmer and respectful. Princess Lyra, this is Commander Seth of the Loyalist Forces. We have been searching for you. Lyra relaxed visibly, relief washing over her features. Commander Seth, I am grateful you have found us. We need your assistance urgently. The Loyalist ship quickly docked alongside John's starship. Moments later, Commander Seth entered their ship, accompanied by a small crew. He was a tall, strong man with a serious but kind face. He greeted Lyra warmly, clearly relieved to see her safe. Princess, we feared the worst, Seth said respectfully. When your escape pod vanished, we worried the rebels had captured you. Thanks. To John, I am safe, Lyra said, gesturing toward him. His bravery and resourcefulness saved my life. Seth turned to John, shaking his hand firmly. Thank you, John. Your courage will never be forgotten by our people. John smiled humbly, feeling honored. It was my duty. Princess Lyra deserves safety and peace. Seth nodded, turning serious again. Our loyalists are hiding safely on Arcturus, but the rebels are closing in. We must move quickly to secure the princess and plan our next steps. John and Lyra followed. Seth back onto his ship, leaving John's ship secured in orbit. Soon, they reached the surface of Arcturus, landing discreetly near a hidden base among rugged mountains. The Loyalist base was small, but bustling with activity. Loyal supporters greeted Lyra warmly, relieved to see their princess safe. John watched quietly, admiring the respect and affection they showed her. He felt proud to have helped bring her safely here. Inside the base, Seth organized an urgent meeting. He explained the rebel situation clearly. Their enemies were gaining strength, but with Lyra safe, they had renewed hope. "Princess, your presence strengthens our cause," Seth said firmly. "But we must strike quickly. We have learned that the rebels plan another major attack. We need your leadership and your courage to inspire our people." Lyra stood tall, determination shining in her eyes. "I will do whatever it takes to protect our people and restore peace. John and I have faced great danger already, and we are ready to face more." Seth nodded approvingly. "Then we will prepare immediately. Your courage gives us strength." As the meeting ended, John felt a new sense of purpose. He knew the battle ahead would be challenging, but he felt ready to stand beside Lyra, whatever happened. The Loyalists respected and trusted him, and Lyra's presence gave him strength. Together, John and Lyra stood ready, united by friendship, trust, and a growing bond that neither fully understood but both welcomed. Whatever lay ahead, they knew they would face it side by side. John and Lyra spent the next few days preparing for the upcoming battle alongside Commander Seth and the Loyalists. The hidden base became busier each day, with fighters training, weapons being checked, and plans carefully made. John quickly earned the respect of the Loyalists with his dedication and bravery. His willingness to stand with Lyra made them trust him completely. Each evening, after the day's preparations, John and Lyra sat quietly together, sharing their thoughts and feelings. Their bond continued to grow stronger. John found comfort in Lyra's calm presence, while Lyra relied on John's courage and steady confidence. One night, as they sat beneath the stars, Lyra spoke softly. "John, are you afraid of what might happen?" John looked at the stars thoughtfully. "I am a bit nervous. Yes, but fear won't stop me. Protecting you and helping your people gives me strength." Lyra smiled warmly, touching his hand gently. "Your bravery gives me hope, John. I am grateful to have you here with me." John felt warmth spread through his chest again, a feeling becoming more familiar and comforting each day. "You give me hope too, Lyra. I never expected to find someone like you." Lyra leaned her head gently on John's shoulder, her voice soft. "Whatever happens, I am glad we are together." As the day of the battle drew near, tension grew in the Loyalist base. Commander Seth and his team reviewed their final plans carefully. They knew the rebels had powerful weapons, and victory was uncertain. Despite this, the Loyalists remained strong, encouraged by Lyra's leadership and John's determination. Finally, the day of the battle arrived. John and Lyra stood side by side as Commander Seth addressed the gathered Loyalists. His words were clear and strong, urging everyone to fight bravely for their freedom and future. Lyra spoke next, her voice steady and inspiring. "Today we stand together against those who seek to destroy our peace. We fight for our families, our homes, and for justice. I am honored to stand with you, my friends. Together, we will achieve victory." The Loyalists cheered, their spirits lifted by Lyra's words. Soon after, everyone moved to their positions. John and Lyra joined Seth at the command center, ready to leave from the front. As the battle began, rebel ships appeared in the sky above, their weapons firing fiercely. Loyalist forces quickly returned fire, engaging the enemy bravely. John and Lyra monitored the situation closely, coordinating their defenses effectively. "We need to protect the eastern side," John said urgently. Noticing a weak point in their defense. Lyra nodded quickly, communicating the order to Loyalist troops nearby. "Reinforcements needed immediately at the eastern flank," she commanded. Firmly. The Loyalists responded swiftly, successfully strengthening the weak point. John felt relief briefly, but he knew the battle was far from over. Rebel forces continued their fierce attack, their strength pushing the Loyalists to their limits. Suddenly, a powerful explosion shook the base, sending John and Lyra stumbling. "The main gate is damaged," a Loyalist shouted from nearby. John and Lyra exchanged worried glances. "We must secure that gate now," Lyra said urgently, already moving toward the area. John followed closely, determined to protect her at any cost. Arriving at the damaged gate, they found Loyalist fighters bravely holding off enemy forces trying to enter. John quickly joined the defense, helping push back the rebels. "Hold your positions," John shouted confidently, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Lyra moved quickly, helping wounded fighters and rallying others to continue their defense. Her courage and compassion inspired everyone around her. Together, they managed to hold the gate, forcing the rebels back temporarily. However, the battle raged on. John fought tirelessly, his strength and determination never wavering. Lyra remained by his side, her presence giving him courage to continue. As the hours passed, Loyalist forces gradually pushed the rebels back, regaining control. Finally, the battle began to turn in their favor. Rebel forces, weakened by the Loyalists' fierce resistance, started retreating. Commander Seth led the final charge, pushing the enemy away from their base completely. As the rebels fled, Loyalists cheered loudly, their relief and joy clear. John and Lyra embraced briefly, exhausted but victorious. "We did it," John whispered softly, smiling warmly. Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with gratitude and pride. "Your bravery and strength inspired us all, John. We could not have done this without you." Commander Seth joined them, smiling widely. "You both were incredible. Your courage helped lead us to victory." John smiled humbly, feeling deeply honored. "It was everyone's effort. I am proud to fight beside you all." That night, the Loyalists celebrated their victory joyfully. Everyone shared stories of bravery, courage, and hope. John and Lyra stayed close together, enjoying the peace that came after such intense struggle. The Loyalists thanked John warmly, treating him as one of their own. Later, beneath the quiet night sky, John and Lyra stood alone again. Their bond had grown even stronger through the challenges they faced together. "John," Lyra said softly, looking deeply into his eyes, "your courage and kindness have changed my life. I do not know how to thank you enough." John gently took her hand, smiling warmly. "Being with you has changed me too, Lyra. I came here feeling lost and alone. You gave me hope and purpose." Lyra stepped closer, her voice gentle. "I never expected to find someone like you, John. Your strength, bravery, and kindness have touched my heart deeply." They shared a quiet moment, understanding passing silently between them. The future remained uncertain, but they knew they could face it together. Their bond had grown stronger through adversity, and now they stood united, ready for whatever came next. Finally, John spoke softly, his voice filled with emotion. "We have faced danger and won. I believe that together we can handle anything." Lyra nodded gently, her smile radiant and hopeful. "Yes, John. Together, we will always be stronger." Standing under the peaceful stars, they felt a deep connection that would guide them through whatever lay ahead. Their journey had brought them closer than they ever imagined, and now, united by trust and love, they faced the future together, ready for whatever awaited them. After the celebration, life in the royal city began to settle down. John and Lyra continued their work, guiding the Loyalists in repairing buildings and defenses. Everyone worked together closely, rebuilding their homes and their lives. Each day brought new challenges, but the people were strong and hopeful, inspired by John and Lyra's courage. One clear morning, Lyra received news from Commander Seth. He arrived at the palace, his face serious as he approached her and John. "Princes, we have learned something troubling," Seth began carefully. "Some rebels escaped and are regrouping in the northern mountains. They plan another attack soon." Lyra's heart sank, But she kept calm. She knew her people looked up to her for strength. "We must prepare immediately," she said. Determined. John nodded in agreement. "This time we'll be ready. We faced them before and won. We can do it again." Commander Seth shared what he knew about the rebels' plans. They were building up forces, gathering more fighters each day. Their goal was to strike quickly and cause fear in the royal city. John and Lyra called for a meeting of all loyalist leaders. Everyone gathered in the palace's main hall, eager but worried. Lyra stepped forward to speak first, her voice clear and steady. "Our peace is being tested once again," she began, looking carefully at each person. "But we are stronger now. We've rebuilt our city, and we have grown closer as a community. Together, we will face this threat and protect everything we hold dear." The room filled with hopeful whispers. John spoke next, his voice calm and encouraging. "We know their tactics, and we know how to defend ourselves. Our courage is greater than their fear. We must stand together." The loyalists nodded, their faces filled with confidence and resolve. Everyone got busy, preparing defenses and training fighters. John worked closely with Commander Seth, carefully organizing patrols and setting up defensive positions around the city. Lyra moved among the people, comforting and encouraging them. She listened to their concerns and offered words of strength and hope. Her calm presence inspired everyone, filling them with determination. Days turned into weeks and preparations continued. Scouts reported the rebels were almost ready, their forces stronger than before. John and Lyra knew the fight ahead would be hard, but they trusted each other completely. One evening, as they finished their plans for the day, Lyra felt tired and worried. She walked outside to the palace gardens, looking at the stars above. John quietly followed her, sensing her anxiety. He gently put his arm around her shoulders. "You're worried," he said softly. "I am," Lyra admitted quietly. "So much depends on us. What if we fail?" John turned Lyra gently to face him. He looked into her eyes, full of trust and warmth. "We won't fail," he promised softly. "We've already come so far. Together, we're stronger than ever. I won't let anything happen to you or your people." Lyra felt comforted by his words. She leaned into his embrace, feeling safer and stronger. "Thank you, John. I trust you completely." The next morning, the sky was cloudy and heavy. News quickly spread that the rebels were moving toward the city. Everyone quickly took their positions, prepared and determined. John stood by Lyra's side, holding his weapon firmly. They watched carefully as the rebels appeared in the distance, a dark, menacing force. Lyra's heart raced, but she stood tall, determined to face them without fear. The rebels charged forward, yelling loudly, trying to scare the loyalists. But John, Lyra, and their allies stayed calm, ready to fight for their home. The battle started fiercely, with loud clashes and explosions filling the air. John fought bravely, leading the loyalists and pushing back against the rebels. Lyra stood firm, guiding the defenders and giving clear commands. The fight lasted many hours, tiring everyone. But John and Lyra never gave up, fighting side by side with courage. Slowly, they pushed back the rebels, breaking their lines and forcing them to retreat. As the last rebels fled, cheers filled the city. The loyalists had won again, protecting their home and their freedom. John and Lyra stood together, exhausted but happy. They knew this victory belonged to everyone, built by bravery, teamwork, and hope. The city celebrated once more, grateful for the peace they had fought so hard to defend. John and Lyra felt proud, knowing their courage had inspired their people. Later that night, Lyra and John walked together quietly through the gardens again. The air was calm, peaceful after the chaos of the battle. "We did it," Lyra said softly, smiling gently. "We did," John agreed, smiling back warmly. Together, Lyra took his hand gently, feeling comfort and strength from his touch. "Whatever happens next, I'm glad you're by my side." John squeezed her hand gently, his heart filled with warmth. "Always," he promised, looking deeply into her eyes. "No matter what, I'm here." They stood quietly for a long moment, enjoying the peaceful night. Around them, the city was safe again, hopeful and strong. And they knew, deep in their hearts, that their bond had grown stronger than ever. After the victory against the rebels, the royal city finally felt safe again. John and Lyra spent the following days working closely with Commander Seth, making sure the defenses remained strong. The Loyalists were proud of their victory and felt more confident than ever. John noticed that Lyra seemed calmer now. She spent more time smiling and less time worrying. Seeing her happiness filled John's heart with joy. Their connection continued to deepen each day, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. One morning, as the city began to rebuild fully, Commander Seth approached John and Lyra with important news. "We have received information," Seth began. "Seriously, the remaining rebels have sent a message. They wish to negotiate peace terms with us." Lyra looked surprised but hopeful. "This could be our chance to end this conflict for good." John agreed, though he felt cautious. "We should be careful. It could be a trick." Commander Seth nodded. "I share your concerns, John, but we must consider their offer. Peace would mean safety for our people." After discussing their plan carefully, Lyra, John, and Commander Seth agreed to meet the rebel leaders at a neutral location. They chose a small clearing near the mountains, safe but open enough to prevent surprises. The day of the meeting arrived quickly. John and Lyra stood side by side, determined but careful. Commander Seth and a small group of Loyalist fighters stood ready nearby, watching carefully for any signs of trouble. Soon, the rebels arrived. Their leaders stepped forward cautiously, clearly unsure. Lyra moved forward, calm and strong. She spoke clearly, her voice firm but gentle. "We have all suffered greatly in this conflict," she began. "It is time to find peace. We are willing to listen." The rebel leaders looked relieved. Their main speaker, a man named Cain, stepped forward carefully. "Princess Lyra, we are tired of fighting. We want peace as much as you do." John watched closely, studying Cain carefully. He saw honesty in Cain's eyes. Slowly, he felt his worries ease. Lyra continued speaking, her voice warm and sincere. "Then let us end this conflict today. We must work together to rebuild our homes and lives." Cain nodded respectfully. "We agree. We ask only to be heard, to have fair treatment for our people." Lyra smiled gently, her eyes understanding. "We promise justice and fairness for everyone. We must heal as one people." John stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "Trust must be earned. Show us that your words are true, and we will show you fairness and peace." Cain agreed immediately, understanding John's meaning clearly. "We accept your terms. We will disarm and cooperate fully." The meeting ended positively, bringing hope to everyone present. John and Lyra felt relieved, knowing peace was finally within reach. As the rebels left peacefully, Commander Seth approached with a smile. "You both handled that perfectly," he praised warmly. "Peace is finally possible thanks to your strength and wisdom." John smiled humbly. "We simply did what needed to be done." Lyra squeezed John's hand gently, her face bright with happiness. "We did it together." Returning to the city, they shared the good news with the Loyalists and citizens. Joy and relief filled the city, celebrations quickly beginning. John and Lyra joined the festivities, enjoying the happiness around them. As the city celebrated, John and Lyra quietly moved away to their favorite spot in the palace gardens. They sat together, peacefully, reflecting on everything that had happened. "Peace at last," Lyra said softly, looking at John lovingly. "It feels like a dream." "It's a dream we made come true," John replied warmly, taking her hand gently in his. "I couldn't have done it without you." Lyra smiled, leaning closer to him. "And I couldn't have done it without you, John. You brought courage and hope into my life. John felt his heart swell with happiness. He looked deeply into her eyes, sincerity shining clearly in his own. Lyra, being here with you has shown me what truly matters. I found purpose, friendship, and love. Lyra's smile brightened even more, her eyes filling with joy. You have brought so much into my life, John. I want us to build a future together, side by side. John gently touched her cheek, his voice soft and filled with emotion. I want to... Same, Lyra. To be by your side always. They shared a quiet, loving embrace, feeling complete happiness and peace in each other's presence. The garden felt like their own private sanctuary, safe and serene in the days that followed. John and Lyra worked closely to ensure peace remained strong. The former rebels cooperated fully, proving their sincerity. Trust slowly grew between everyone, creating unity and hope. Together, John and Lyra helped their people rebuild stronger and better. Their love and dedication inspired everyone, bringing peace and happiness to the kingdom. Soon, Lyra's family formally welcomed John, expressing their deep gratitude. They admired his bravery, kindness, and love for Lyra. John felt honored, grateful to be accepted by her family and people. Finally, at another gathering in the palace, Lyra's family made a formal announcement. John and Lyra stood hand in hand, listening carefully. Today, we officially recognize John as part of our family, Lyra's father spoke warmly. His courage, strength, and love have made our kingdom safer and happier. We welcome him with open hearts. The crowd cheered joyfully, celebrating John's acceptance. Lyra looked at him, her eyes filled with pride and love. John squeezed her hand gently, feeling immense happiness and belonging. After the ceremony, John and Lyra returned once more to their peaceful garden spot. Under the clear night sky, surrounded by stars, they spoke softly about their future. We have overcome so much, John said gently. I never imagined finding such happiness. Lyra smiled lovingly, her voice soft and gentle. Our journey was difficult, but it led us here together. I could not wish for anything more. Neither could I, John whispered sincerely. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. They shared another tender moment, knowing their love had grown strong through challenges and victories alike. Their bond was now unbreakable, built on trust, bravery, and deep understanding. Together, John and Lyra faced a future filled with hope, ready to build a lasting peace and a loving life side by side.